Are you a first-time home buyer and wondering how on earth are you going to buy a house and your first home? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about all the different incentives that the Government of Canada has available for you as a first-time home buyer. Okay, so what is a first-time home buyer? Well, it's in the name. You've never bought a house before. Now, some of these incentives that the government offers does have some exceptions to the rule that you don't have to be a brand new first-time home buyer. But let's say, for example, you are a first-time home buyer and you are a resident of Canada. So one of the newest incentives that the Government of Canada has offered is the FHSA savings account, or First-Time Home Buyers Savings Account. This is a really cool incentive that I wish I had when we first were buying our house. It's the ability to have a savings account to put away money aside for your down payment up to $40,000. You can put away $8,000 a year for the max of 5 years to hit your $40,000 completely as a tax deduction. And when you pull that out to use as your down payment, it's also tax-free. Now, if you aren't familiar with how much you get paid in taxes, this is a huge savings and it will help you take your earnings from your hard-earned work to save for that house without having to pay taxes. Because when you pay taxes on the work that you're doing, it kind of puts you backwards in thinking, how am I ever going to afford my house if I have all these expenses, I have bills to pay, and then I have taxes to pay? Well, now this down payment savings account is completely tax sheltered. If you're thinking about doing this for your kids, this cannot be opened until you're 18 years old. So only adults can be able to start this savings account. It's not meant for children to be putting away savings, even though I think as a parent you should be helping them. There are other ways that you can be creative in terms of saving money for your kids' down payment, but this is for once they hit 18, this is a great option. The First-Time Home Buyer Savings Account was just started in April 2023, so it's still relatively new, and if you did start it, you probably wouldn't have put a whole lot of money away yet, and if you're just starting it, you're probably not ready to look to buy for another 3, 4, or 5 years. So this is a good thing to start and be mindful of before. So if you're thinking about buying a house or you have family members that you want to encourage them to buy a house, maybe give them this information and then they'll be able to start saving to move out of that house. Now, another option is actually called the First-Time Home Buyers Incentive Program that the Government of Canada offers. Full disclosure, I am not a huge fan of this program. And why is that? It's because I don't like the fact that the government gets to own a piece or equity piece of your home. Now, the way this works, it's quite complicated, so I'll try to do it as simple as I can. You have to put down 5% down on a resale property, and they will match up to 5% of that down payment. So in theory, you're putting 10% down instead of 5%. Why would someone do that? They're hoping that their mortgage payment is lowered because of that. However, here's the catch, a big catch. When you go to sell your home, or if it's been 25 years, you're probably going to sell it before because most people don't live in their home for 25 years, you need to pay the government back. Now, you're not just going to pay them back dollar for dollar. You're going to pay them back if the house appreciated in price and depreciated. There is a max about 8% up and down, and they're making the money on the value that you've made. So if you're putting improvements in or the market's gotten better and you just happen to get in, because you've borrowed money from them, you're paying more than just interest, in my opinion. Because you're putting 5% down to get that 5%, you should run the numbers on just doing 5% on your own and just talk to a realtor about what the equity growth would be, and then talk to the mortgage broker to see what kind of payment is that going to, what's the difference going to be on a 10% down payment versus a 5% down payment. Both of those are still what we call high ratio mortgages. You're still paying CMHC like it's insured. Now, if you have more than 20% down, this is not going to apply to you anyways. Now, the other option is for new builds. They will match up to 10% for new build homes, but again, they get back what they paid. So I'm not a big fan of this program. It is way more complicated. They are registered as second in title. So if you want to get more information, I highly recommend talking to a mortgage broker for more specific information if this is the right program for you or not. Now, the other program that you can access as a first-time home buyer here in Canada is called the Home Buyers plan, first-time home buyers plan. It's the RRSP plan. So what does that mean? If you have an RRSP that you've been maybe saving up and you have a good chunk of money in your RRSP, maybe even your work matches your RRSP, so you've got a good amount of money in there. If it's able to withdraw, so sometimes group benefits, like your group RRSPs, are locked and you can't withdraw, but if it is something that you can withdraw, the government will allow you to take money out of your RRSP so you can use it as your down payment. Now you do need to pay it back within 15 years, which is a lot of time, but let's say you need that extra $10,000 or $20,000 to finish your savings for your down payment. You can grab it out of your RRSP if you have that in your RRSP, and it allows you to access that money for your down payment. Now, this program allows you, if you haven't bought a house for over 5 years, so 4 years prior, you could qualify to be counted again as a first-time home buyer. We also see this sometimes in divorce situations. You may be able to qualify if you haven't purchased a home and you're buying a house now on your own. This is again something we need to talk to a mortgage broker about to make sure that you have the specific right information. Right now, I wanted to summarize the 3 options for the Government of Canada if you're a first-time home buyers. You've got the FHSA, the First-Time Home Buyer Savings Account. You have the First-Time Home Buyers Incentive Plan, which is where they own equity. And then the Home Buyers Plan through the RSP, where you can withdraw RSP money. If you are looking to save up for your down payment, these are some great options, especially as a first-time home buyer.